Uh, Yesterday, the Big Ten and the SEC made rulings on the situation with guys coming back from NFL training camps to play in college. I'm wondering kind of what your thoughts on the whole thing are as a guy who played college football in a totally different era. Just the idea that those guys might have been able to do that, but also what you hope and expect the ACC to do about this.
Well, again, this is just my personal opinion, but I'm not a fan of it. I think when somebody makes a decision, goes in a certain direction, I think that's, they've made their decision. And I'm not sure it's a good message when you allow that to, I'm going to change my mind. I mean, let's once they start engaging and get involved, I think they need to be, held to it. And I think a big part of it is messaging. We got to make sure that people understand you sign contracts, you make deals, you come into agreements. You're supposed to hold true. And I think that's it. I know the ACC's taking a nice long look at it. I know Commissioner and his staff are having a huge discussion, and it'll also probably be passed along to the athletic directors and to the chancellors and presidents. I mean, this is a very important decision. It needs to be discussed, and I think what Commissioner Phelps will decide will be in the best interest of the ACC.
Do you find it almost amazing that it's even an issue?
Yes, I do. I'm disappointed that people are looking for ways to cheat the system or beat the system, or I'd like to see a system that's being put into place that could really help. I know what our senators are trying to do, Cruz and Cantley, and I think that's I think it's important to save college athletics, and not just football, but it impacts the other sports. The other, here at Cal we have 30, and it's going to impact the other 29 as well.
Are you concerned that even if, say, the ACC issues a ruling, that a court can simply overturn that?
Well, I know now you get into the judicial system, and I think what you got to look at is what's good for the many, not just the few. And that's how long are we going to allow guys to come back and play college sports until they're 30? I mean, let's be realistic. We have a whole group of college athletes that are impacted. There's a group of high school kids that are impacted. High school recruiting isn't what it used to be. You don't see the big numbers of 20, 25, 30 kids being signed to go to a university, because now the transfer portal is such a big deal. I think that's also part of it, is that when you limit how many times people are going to be able to transfer, which is one of the things being talked about, I think it brings back the important significance of high school recruiting. There's so many positive things that, from what I hear that's out there, I think that's a really good thing, and hopefully it can come to fruition. That there are some parameters, some rules that are put up that help these young people, because this is something everybody got to understand too. A little bit more than 1% of all draft eligible college football players make it to the NFL. Just a little bit more than 1%. Okay, and that means that's about a transition rate of about 375 to 400 kids a year get into the NFL. And there's about 16,000 guys that are draft eligible every year. So let's start looking at the numbers and start figuring this out, that maybe getting an education is a little bit more important right now. And I think that's something that we ought to think about.
Jim, right here.
Ron, the season opener with UCLA, you've got a couple of new staffs, you got a former Pac-12 rival. What would this win mean to the program? What kind of a statement would it make?
I think it'd be, just the fact that we're playing UCLA again, I think that's huge for both universities. They're one of our natural rivals. We're going to rekindle that, and hopefully we can keep it going, and kind of like we do with Stanford. I mean, it's one of those natural things that you want to see. It's a big deal for a lot of the LA kids that come up here and play, that they're playing against those guys. I think that'd be really cool. I think the statement that it can make for the program is that hey, we've done the things that we want to do, and we're continuing to get better. It's whether you win or lose, how we react to it also is a statement. Because you can win and get yourself on such a great big high, but then you don't play well the next week. You can lose and make things real important, and all of a sudden it could be something that could get the program going in the direction you want. I mean, no matter what happens, more than anything else, we're going to gain from it. That's for sure.
Josh here.
Well, the taking the tarps off is that for the entire season, or?
Hopefully so. That's the plan. I mean, we've done some really good things with our ticket sales that most certainly are up. This also shows the interest. And one of the things that has been really good for us is to have a marquee game. Marquee games at home mean an awful lot. It means the attendance most certainly will be up. And also good for television for us as far as those concerns. And these are part of the metrics that we're being measured on. Is the butts in the seats, is how the eyeballs are on the television sets when we play. And so having these types of games, being able to strike these games up again and bring them on our schedule will help us. Because again, when you can fill the stadium up and have that consistent week after week, you know, first of all, you're creating another revenue source that can really help benefit the program. We'd like to be able to help, our program take a huge step, but also our athletic department as well. So again, finding different revenue streams that can help us, well, this is one of them. It really is. And so to me, the idea and the attitude is, is getting folks in the stands. And if we can keep those tarps off all year, that again, just doesn't impact football, but it impacts the entire athletic department. And that's what we're trying to get our fans, our alums, our donors, our students to understand, is that it impacts the university.
What's that make the whole capacity?
A little over 70,000.
And is the long-term goal to be able to do that every
week,
70,000?
Every week. And as many as we can get in the stands, we need them. And I know we'll play an opponent that's not a D1 in a few weeks after that, but understand this is all part of it. But coming out and being part of what we're trying to do, again, you're going to help impact our university.
Here's right front.
Ron, what have you seen from Tosh in his first training camp? Is there anything that stuck out to you about his leadership style? And then I guess the same question goes for Jaron in year 2. Is there anything you've seen that's maybe different about his style this year?
I think one of the things about Tosh's leadership style is from the beginning, one thing, he's all in, he's focused on one thing. And that's getting this program to an elite level, to winning football games, and training and developing the players. I mean, that's one of the things I think is really cool. His leadership style really is, it's a line in line with what the chancellor says, and that's, yes, if we want to do as many things as we can, if we can get this done, if we can do these things the right way, yes, we're going to do these things. So I like that approach. We're trying to get away from a no culture. And I think this is a real good start. You have a guy that wants it and wants it done.
And for Jaron?
For Jaron, I think the biggest thing is just seeing the growth in terms of the ease at which he's around his teammates has been tremendous. His skill set continues to grow and get better. I think Jordan's done a terrific job with the offense and putting it in, but also having some of the new coaches come in. Jaron's got a different viewpoint, but as always, he has Coach Rolovich there, and coaches. Rolo's a special individual in terms of the way he deals and works with our quarterbacks. I think that's also been a huge benefit. We got a number of coaches that are on that offensive staff that add so much more to it as well. So Jaron's really soaking it up. He's doing some really good things for us.
Jake, second row.
What would you consider a successful season?
Winning. That's it. There's no number. It's about winning. If we can win 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games, get ourselves in the playoffs. I mean, that's it. Just win. I was in Carolina for 3 seasons in a row. My second year of winning, we started winning in 2013, which is my 3rd season. 2014, we go 7, 8, and 1, and won the division. Somebody said, "Well, it's not a winning record." I said, "Yes, it is." I said, "No, it's not. 7, 8, 1." I said, "Well, did we win the division?" He said, "Yeah." Winning. That's all that matters. Get yourself in a position where you can win. Get yourself in a position where you're in the playoffs. Get your position in bowl games or whatever, but win.
Is there any, with the negotiations for media rights in 2 years and probable realignment, is there importance now to really stack wins this year and next year?
Yes, there is. Not just stacking wins, as I said, getting people to come, butts in the seats, not putting those tarps back up, keeping those tarps off. Last year we helped impact the ACC's viewership to where the ACC is number 2 in conference viewership, behind the SEC and ahead of the Big Ten. So I think those are things that we have to continue to help contribute to. The West Coast viewers are very valuable. This is the 6th largest TV market in America. It's the 5th largest in the NFL. So there is value to who Cal and Stanford are. And that to me is one of the things that we have to sell. But we can only sell it if the numbers continue to rise. If we continue to get fan engagement on television, continue to get fan engagement in our stadiums. That's what's important. That's what we need, and we need it now. Why? Because they're gonna sit there and look at it. Hey, Cal's averaging 70,000 a game. Man, wow, boy, the ACC's viewership's gone up 16%. Wow, on the West Coast, that's impressive. That's what we need to do.
Honestly.
Ron, this is the first time we're talking since you became AD of football. How do you compare and contrast your day-to-day now with that title?
It hasn't changed. The idea behind it more than anything else is really to put me in a position where I can represent the university anytime there's conversations dealing directly with football. You know, for whatever reason, a lot of folks don't want to look at the GM as head of football. But, you know, for Cal, for Stanford, that's what we do. But getting this co-title is the idea is that everybody recognize that, you know, I'm leading the football program. So when there are things that come up, you know, I need to be in those conversations. And I'm not getting them secondhand. I'm getting directly from the people that are putting out the message or putting out the news or putting out the information, so I can be directly involved.
Is this something where the chancellor kind of approached you and saying, how can we, I guess, I don't know, beef up's the right phrase, but how to
Yes.
quality control the
Yes.
rest of what you need and being in those meetings and stuff?
Yes, but the idea behind it was to put me in that position, and I really appreciate his confidence in me and the things that we're trying to do. There's so much to be done, but hopefully we can continue to do these things.
Ron, based on what you're seeing in practice and at the scrimmages, how ready is this team? How impressed are you by what you're seeing, and how does that translate?
I'm impressed. I really am. I think there is a different vibe, a different feel. First and foremost, it's the energy level. When we first started training camp, a lot of people were excited. Oh, wow, this is cool and great. I said, no. Talk to me in 2 weeks. Well, in 2 weeks, we had our second scrimmage, and it was explosive. A lot of good things, a lot of positive things happening on both sides of the ball. So you like to think we're taking those kinds of steps that put us into a position where we can be very, very competitive and win.
Anything else?
How has your role shifted over the past year? How are things developing?
I think a lot of it, more so than anything else, has been alumni and donor engagement. You know, obviously with the shift in the way finances are being used, you know, your financial resources are being used more so about player acquisition and player retention. And then as you start to spend that money, you feel that you've also got to enhance your coaching staff, your support staff. Then it's about student athlete academics, and then it's also about sports medicine. I mean, there's so many things that on that realm of it need to be touched. I don't spend as much time on the football field as I would like to. I really don't. I mean, that's a big part of what is happening, is that, you know, you really see the difference, because the way the money now plays into it. And again, when you start off by saying, you know, it's about player acquisition and then player retention, that's a big deal.
Well, how has the expanded war chest altered your day to day?
It's been good. I mean, it really has. A lot of the engagements have been terrific. A lot of folks have stepped up and gotten involved. Really proud of what we did for the 2026 season. But guess what? Now we got to start getting ready for 2027. I mean, that's the way we have to be forward thinking. And so, you know, our engagements really are about, look, really appreciate the fact so many folks have stepped up, gotten behind us, helped us. You know, like I said, last year we saw an improvement in television ratings. The hard part for us was we didn't have a real true marquee game last year at home. And, you know, now this year we got 3 of them that we can really point to that are games that are going to be solid for us. And, you know, obviously that's going to be UCLA, Clemson, and Stanford. You know, 2 years ago it was Stanford and Miami. And when you look at those 2 games and you sit and say, wow, those 2 games are really impactful for the university. Well, we've got 3 we feel really positive about. And we're positive about all our home games, but you look at the ones that directly impact us, those marquee games are what we need. That's why playing, you know, a UCLA again, playing a Clemson, you know, and again, we'd love to be able to have Miami back here, Florida State. I mean, you name it. do something with USC hopefully in the future. And so you really get that opportunity to get everybody excited, again, especially those natural rivalries.
Jake, right here, same row.
Yeah, you kind of addressed this just now, but how confident are you that you can continue to get the kind of contributions that you got this year?
I'm pretty confident because we've only really begun to tap into it. And there's still a lot of people that are looking for proof of concept. Again, come out and win. Again, just win. Put ourselves in that position and win. I think the interest really says, wait, this is for real. This really, truly is happening. I think with the way Tosh does things, and I think if people can really get a grasp and feel for what he's doing, and see it, because one of the things that we've done is we've invited a lot of our alumni to come watch practice, to see the difference in how things are. And as I said, you see the enthusiasm. It was the first few days, but it's the same thing. Today was an exciting day. You come out there and you watch, Jaron, and watch the way he's doing things. You watch what we're doing on defense, and it felt really good and real confident about those things. So there's been some steps that we've made that show kind of the direction we're headed.
Are you going back to the same people, or have they made commitments that I'm going to contribute X amount every year? Or
We're casting a lot of lines. We really are. We're trying to draw in as many new folks as we can, because again, there are so many people that have been part of this, and it's been kind of neat because a lot of the new ones we've talked with, they talk about the Jeff Tedford era, they talk about Bruce Snyder and what happened when he was here. So you want to try and get those folks to understand and know that we need them back, that their contributions during those periods really showed what we're capable of. And you really go back to, I remember the Citrus Bowl with Coach Snyder. Unfortunately, the problem was on the way home, he left and went to Arizona State. I remember those things, and it's one of those things that, people understand that having them be part of this makes the impact. And again, it's not just on football, it's not just on the athletic department, but it's on the university. Because, the more resources we can gain, the more revenue that we can bring in, the less we have to rely on Central Campus. And we're trying to alleviate that. Alleviate the problem, okay? So just looking at that and trying to get us to understand, get them to understand what that means. That if we can take that burden off, and we really need to, it helps us, it helps the university.
Last one, Jeff. Yeah.
Jake just asked my question.
All right.
All right, again, I apologize for being late. I had a call that I really had